welcome back to the Gracefully Growing podcast, where we talk about real life teen struggles and how to handle them with more confidence, clarity, and grace. Dr. Kemi, educator, author, speaker, gratitude advocate, podcast host, and creator of the Living with Grace framework. And I'm also mom to an amazing 13, almost 14-year-old. Thank you, 2,400 subscribers. I am so happy that you're here. And if you're watching and not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for? Click that subscribe button right now. And please make sure you turn on your notification bell so that you receive notification every time I drop a new episode. And I drop new episodes every Monday morning. So, like I always say, each week we try to help you navigate life as a teenager using 5 key principles. And whether those 5 key principles, they are gratitude, reflection, affirmation, connection, as well as empathy. I want you to go ahead and grab your journal. If you do not have a journal, I want you to grab a notebook. If you don't have a notebook, open the notes app on your phone because you're going to want to take notes. If you're looking for an excellent journal to help you along on this journey, I have written the Affirmation Gratitude Journal that is available on Amazon, and I'll be sure to post the link in the show notes for you. Let's get started. Today, we're talking about something that almost every teen has experienced, and that thing is overthinking. Some adults experience overthinking too, but we're focused on teens. You know what I mean? You send someone a text and they don't respond for 10 minutes, and suddenly your brain is like, did I say something wrong? Are they mad at me? Did I use too many emojis? Was the period at the end of my sentence too aggressive? Should I delete this message? Listen, it's just a text message. But when you are an overthinker, your brain can turn one tiny situation into a full Netflix drama series with 3 seasons and a plot twist. So today, we are going to talk about why teens overthink everything, why teens are more likely to overthink, what is actually happening in your brain, and how to quiet your mind using the GRACE framework. I'm going to provide you with 6 practical tips to help quiet your mind. And of course, your weekly challenge. Also, I want you to stay until the end because I'm going to give you a simple grace reset you can use when your thoughts are doing the absolute most. And they do the absolute most. If this episode speaks to you, I want to personally invite you to join my free Living with Grace school community. It is a space for teens who want to grow, reflect, build confidence, and learn how to handle life without feeling overwhelmed all the time. And of course, your parents are also invited to the group. And if you are ready to go deeper, my Living with Grace course walks you step by step through how to build emotional resilience, confidence, and clarity for life after high school and beyond. Let's get started. We're going to start with why teens overthink everything. Let me say this to you. Overthinking does not mean that something is wrong with you. It usually means your brain is trying to protect you, prepare you, or prevent embarrassment, rejection, failure, or disappointment. The problem is that sometimes your brain tries to protect you by replaying everything like a security camera that refuses to turn off. You replay conversations. You imagine worst case scenarios. You question your choices. You worry about what people think. You compare yourself to everybody online. You analyze every facial expression, every text message, every tone, every look, every okay, every okay, every we need to talk. And let's be honest, we need to talk should be illegal without context. That's my personal belief, all right? And overthinking also sounds like this. What if I fail? What if they don't like me? What if I embarrass myself? What if I make the wrong choice? What if everyone is judging me? What if I'm behind? What if I'm not good enough? What if I never figure my life out? And the tricky thing about overthinking is that it feels like you're solving the problem. But most of the time, you're just stressing yourself out and going in circles. It's like opening 37 tabs in your brain. And now music is playing from one of them, but you cannot figure out which one. That is overthinking. Let's now talk about why teens are more likely to overthink. Teenagers are in a season of life where almost everything feels important. Your friendships, they matter. Your grades, they matter. Your future matters. Your reputation matters. Your family expectations matter. Your appearance feels like it matters. Your social media presence feels like it matters. Your decisions feel like they could change your whole life. And sometimes adults will say, you're too young to be stressed. Says who? Now, here's the thing, that's not fair. Teen stress is real. You may be dealing with school pressure, friendships, comparison, family responsibilities, sports, college planning, social media, identity questions, and the pressure to figure out who you are while people are asking, so what do you want to do with your life? Ma'am, sir, I just figured out what I want from Chick-fil-A, or I just figured out what I want to eat for dinner. So, yes, teens overthink because there's a lot happening mentally, emotionally, socially, and academically for them. You also have to remember this. Your brain is still learning how to balance emotions, decisions, and long term thinking. That means sometimes your feelings show up loudly before your logic has had a chance to sit down and speak. So that is why one bad grade can feel like, oh my God, my whole life is over. One awkward conversation can feel like I can never show my face again. And one person leaving you on read on a text can feel like everybody hates me. Here's the truth. A thought is not always a fact. Just because your mind says this is terrible does not mean it is true. Just because your mind says they're judging me does not mean they are. Just because your mind says I can't handle this does not mean you cannot. Overthinking gets loud when your mind is full, but your emotions have nowhere to go. This is why you need tools, not just motivation, not just calm down, not just stop thinking about it. Because telling an overthinker to stop thinking is like telling your phone to stop updating, right? When you need GPS, not helpful. You need a process. And this is where my grace framework comes in. We're starting with gratitude. Gratitude shifts your focus. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking at this particular point. Dr. Kenny, I am overthinking my whole life. And you want me to say thank you? Yes. But hear me out. Not in a fake way. Gratitude does not mean pretending everything is fine. Gratitude means you're training your brain to notice what is still good, what is still working, and what is still possible. When you overthink, your brain usually zooms in on what could go wrong. Now, the job of gratitude is to help your brain zoom back out. Instead of, what if I fail? You can then ask, what is one thing I have already survived? Or you can ask, what is one thing I know how to do? Or you can ask, what support do I have? Or better yet still, what is one small thing going right today? That gratitude interrupts panic. It tells your brain, yes, this situation is stressful, but that's not the whole story. For example, my son has a big test tomorrow. And so let's say you have a big test tomorrow, like my son does. And your brain says to you, you're going to fail. You didn't study enough. Everyone else is smarter. You should have started studying earlier. This is a disaster. Here's what gratitude says. Okay, I may feel nervous, but I have studied some. I can review tonight. I can ask for help. I have passed hard things before. One test does not define my future. That shift matters. Gratitude does not erase the problem, though. It just gives your mind a little breathing room. So let's practice gratitude for overthinking. When your mind is racing, I want you to pause and say, even though I feel overwhelmed, I am grateful for. Then you go ahead and name three things. Some examples could be, I'm grateful I have another chance tomorrow. I'm grateful I can ask for help. I'm grateful I noticed I was spiraling and overthinking. I'm grateful for snacks. Something that simple. Listen, sometimes gratitude is spiritual, and sometimes gratitude is my clothes are clean. Both count. Reflection reminds you to check the story you are telling yourself. This is the second part of the grace framework. This is where you ask the following question. What is really going on here? Not what is my anxiety saying, not what is my fear predicting, and what is TikTok making me compare myself to. None of those. What is actually true? That is the question you ask yourself. Because here's the thing about overthinking. It often creates a story. Let's say someone walks past you and does not speak to you. Your brain then starts to spin this story. They ignored me. They don't like me anymore. I did something wrong. Everybody is fake. But reflection causes you to pause and ask, what else could be true? Maybe they didn't even see you, girl. Maybe they're distracted. Maybe they had their earbuds in. Maybe they were not having a good day. Maybe it had nothing to do with you, right? Reflection helps you to separate facts from your feelings. I'll give you an example. A fact is, they did not respond to my text yet. A feeling is this, they hate me. A fact is, I got a lower grade than I wanted. A feeling is, I'm not smart or my teacher hates me. Reflection is that thing that allows you to slow down before you believe every dramatic announcement your brain makes. Because let's be real, sometimes your brain is not giving you wisdom, sometimes your brain is giving you gossip. And you do not have to believe everything your mind whispers to you. So here's what I want to offer you. When you are overthinking, ask yourself the following questions. Number one, what do I know for sure? Number two, what am I assuming? Number three, what is another possible explanation? Number four, is this thought helping me or hurting me? And number five, what would I tell a friend who was thinking this? Now, this last one is powerful because we are often kinder and wiser with our friends than we are with ourselves. For example, if your friend came to you and said, I failed one quiz, so I am dumb, you would probably say, no, you're not. You're just having a rough day. Or you just had a rough quiz, or that was a tough quiz. Let's figure out what happened so you do better next time. But when it is you, your brain tells you, pack it up, your academic career is over. Nope. No. Reflection will help you to come back to reality. Let's talk about affirmations. What I want you to take away from affirmations is this. Speak back to your thoughts. This is the third part of the Grace framework. Hear me when I say this. Affirmations are not magic words. They are intentional words. They help you to speak to yourself in a way that builds strength instead of fear. When you overthink, your inner voice can get very negative, and they get loud too. And it starts to say stuff to you like this. You always mess up. You're too much. You're not good enough. They probably don't like you. You're going to fail. You cannot handle this. Affirmations help you to interrupt that voice, not with fake confidence, but with truthful confidence. So instead of all of those things, they don't like me, you always mess up, you're too much, you're too extra, try saying, I can slow down and think carefully. I do not have to believe every thought I have. I can handle one step at a time. I am allowed to learn. I am more than this moment. I can be nervous and still show up. I do not need everyone's approval to be valuable. Let me say that again. I do not need everyone's approval to be valuable. Let me say it directly to you. You do not need everyone's approval to be valuable. Because some overthinking comes from trying to be liked by everybody. And sweetheart, even pizza has haters. Some people don't like pizza. So you cannot build your peace around everybody's opinion. And that's what affirmation does for you. It helps to remind you who you are before fear tells you who you are not. I want you to repeat the following after me. I am safe to slow down. I am allowed to pause before I react. My thoughts are not always facts. I can choose peace one step at a time. I am growing with grace. That right there is the kind of language we practice inside the Living with Grace course. We do not just talk about confidence, we build it through reflection, affirmations, mindset tools, and real life practice. So if you know your mind has been too loud lately, that course will help you to create a calmer, stronger inner voice. Connections reminds you, do not overthink alone. I say this each week, every episode. You do not have to do hard things alone. Connections is the fourth part or the fourth pillar of the grace framework. Connections is so important because overthinking grows in isolation. When you keep everything in your head, your thoughts can get bigger and louder. And when you talk to someone safe, like a teacher, a coach, your mom, your dad, grandma, grandpa, auntie, uncle, you can hear the situation more clearly. Sometimes you don't need another hour of thinking. You need a safe conversation. And that, of course, could be your parent, your teacher, your coach, a church member, auntie, uncle, grandma, grandpa, a mentor, a trusted friend, or a positive community. But here is the key. I want you to talk to someone who helps you calm down and think clearly, not someone who adds gasoline to your emotional fire. Because some people will hype up your overthinking. You say, I think my friend is mad at me. They say, yeah, I knew she was fake. Or I knew he was fake. No, that's not support. That is chaos. We don't do chaos over here. What you want is a healthy connection that helps you to ask better questions. So they might say, did you ask them? Could there be another explanation? What do you need right now? What is the next wise move? Or do you want comfort, advice, or help thinking through it? That is what healthy connection does. It brings you back to yourself. It centers you. And this is why I created the Living with Grace school community. Because teens not only need a positive space where they can grow, reflect, ask questions, and be reminded that they are not the only ones trying to figure life. Inside this school community that I've created, you get to connect with other teens who are learning how to handle stress, confidence, friendships, school pressure, and life after high school with more grace. So when your mind starts spiraling, you do not have to sit in that alone. You need tools, you need language, you need support, you need community. And you will find that inside my Living with Grace school community. Let's move on to the fifth part of the grace framework. And that fifth part is empathy. Empathy reminds you to be kind to yourself first. And yes, empathy includes how you treat yourself. A lot of teens are kind to everybody else, but brutal towards themselves. I've said that before. We are the worst critic of ourselves. For example, you make one mistake and you talk to yourself like you're your own worst enemy. You say things to yourself like, I am so stupid. Now, why did I say that? I always ruin everything. What is wrong with me? Pause. Pause. Would you talk to your best friend like that? Probably not, right? So why are you talking to yourself like that? Empathy says, I am having a hard moment, but I am not a bad person. Empathy says, I made a mistake, but I can learn from it. Empathy says, I feel embarrassed right now, but this feeling will pass. Empathy says, I am overwhelmed, but I can take one step today. Overthinking gets worse. When you shame yourself for overthinking, you start to think, why am I like this? Why can't I just stop? I am so dramatic. But empathy says this: my mind is trying to protect me. I can thank it, calm it, and guide it. That is powerful. So instead of fighting your mind, you start coaching your mind. You can say to yourself, thank you, brain. I know you're trying to keep me safe, but we're not going to spiral right now. We're going to breathe, reflect, and take one step. That, my friends, is emotional maturity. You're not pretending to never be stressed. You're not acting like nothing bothers you, but learning how to respond to your thoughts with compassion and wisdom. I am now going to go through 6 additional practical tips for how you quiet your mind when you start to overthink. Tip number 1, name the spiral. Say, I'm overthinking right now. That sounds simple, but naming it gives you power. So instead of being trapped inside the thought, you step back and notice it. You are not the spiral. You are the person noticing the spiral. That matters. So tip number 1 is you name it. Name that spiral. Tip number 2, write it down. Write it in your journal. Overthinking loves to live in your head rent free. Evict overthinking from your head. Evict it, yes. So write, what am I worried about? What do I know for sure? What am I assuming? What is one next step? Write it down. Here's the thing: your brain is not meant to hold every fear, plan, memory, assignment, group chat issue, and college questions at the same time. Put it somewhere. Your notes app counts too. If you have my affirmation gratitude journal, put it in there. A sticky note counts. A napkin counts. Just get it out of your head. So tip number 2 is write it down. Tip number 3, use the 3-question reality check. And that looks like this. You ask yourself, is this true? Is this helpful? What can I do next? Let me give you an example of that. When you start to think everyone thinks I'm weird, is it true? Probably not everybody. That's a big statement. Is it helpful? No. It makes me feel worse. What can I do next? Be kind to yourself. Talk to one safe person and not build my identity around one awkward moment. Be kind to myself. Talk to one safe person and not build my identity around one awkward moment. So tip number 3 is you use the 3-question reality check. Tip number 4, set a worry timer. You can do that on your phone. I know it sounds funny, but I promise you it does work. Give yourself 10 minutes to worry, write, think, or process. When that timer ends, choose one action. because overthinking without action becomes a mental hamster wheel. After that timer goes off, ask yourself this: do I need to solve this, release this, or ask for help? Tip number 5, move your body. Sometimes your mind is loud because your body is carrying stress. Take a walk, stretch, dance for one song or two. You may clean your room for 5 minutes, do wall push ups, step outside, drink water. Not everything gets solved by thinking harder. Sometimes your body just needs to move so your mind can breathe. So, tip number 5 is move your body. Tip number 6. Remember, in tip number 1, we're named the spiral. Okay. Tip number 6, stop feeding the spiral. Be honest. Sometimes we overthink and then we feed that thought. We reread that text 4711 times. We stalk somebody, the person's story views. We compare ourselves to strangers online. We ask 5 friends the same question until someone gives us the answer we want. We create fake conversations in our head and then get mad at what imaginary people said. Friend, log out of the mental courtroom. Stop presenting evidence to a case that does not even exist. Give your mind a boundary. Say this to yourself: I am not going to keep this tonight. I will handle what is real, not what I imagined. I can revisit this when I am calm. So, to use to quiet your mind when you start to overthink. A quick rundown. Number 1, name the spiral. Number 2, write it down. Number 3, use the 3-question reality check. Number 4, set a worry timer. Number 5, move your body. And finally, number 6, stop feeding the spiral. That's like feeding a stray cat. Don't do that. All right. Your grace reset for overthinking. Now we're going to walk through that. And I want you to use this whenever your mind feels loud. So I've given you 6 practical tools. Now let's talk about your grace reset. We're going to walk through the grace framework one after the other, starting with gratitude. Ask, what is one thing I can be grateful for in this moment? And then you can say to yourself, I am grateful that I noticed that I was overthinking. Reflection. Ask, what do I know for sure? And what am I assuming? Then you say this to yourself: I do not have to turn assumptions into facts. Affirmations. Say, I can slow down. I can handle one step at a time. My thoughts are not always facts. Connection. Ask, who can I talk to? Who will help me think clearly? And then say to yourself, I do not have to do hard things alone. I do not have to carry this alone. Empathy. Ask yourself, how can I be kind to myself right now? Then say, I am growing. I am learning. I can give myself grace. This is your reset, y'all. It is simple, it is powerful, and it is repeatable. And this is exactly the kind of work we go deeper into inside the Living with Grace course. This course helps you understand yourself and manage your emotions, build confidence, strengthen decision making, and prepare for life after high school with tools you can actually use. These are not boring worksheets that feel like homework for your feelings. Real tools, real reflection, real growth. So here's your challenge for this week. The next time you catch yourself overthinking, do not judge yourself. Pause and say, is this a fact, a feeling, or a fear? Then use the grace reset, gratitude, reflection, affirmation, connection, and empathy. And if you want support practicing this, I am inviting you to join my free Living with Grade school community. Inside the school community, you will find encouragement, reflection prompts, growth conversations, and support from a community that is learning how to live with more confidence and peace. And when you're ready to go deeper, I'm inviting you to enroll in the Living with Grace course, where I guide you step by step through the tools you need to handle stress, build emotional resilience, improve your mindset, and walk into your future with more clarity. Because you are not created to be trapped in your thoughts. You are created to grow, learn, lead, and live with grace. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Gracefully Growing. Remember, your thoughts may be loud, but they do not have to be in charge. They're not the boss of you. You can slow down. You can breathe. You can reflect. You can choose your next step with grace. So until next time, keep growing, keep reflecting, and keep living with grace. And remember, you got this. I am rooting for you, and I cannot wait to see you inside of our school community. And that's a wrap for today's episode of Gracefully Growing. Thank you so much for tuning in and growing with me. Remember, living with grace means showing gratitude, taking the time for reflection, speaking powerful affirmations, building strong connections, and practicing daily empathy with yourself and others. If today's episode gave you something to think about, inspired you, or made you smile, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can also download today's free resource in the show notes and join our Gracefully Growing community on social media for more tools, encouragement, and real talk. Until next time, keep showing up for yourself, keep growing, and most of all, keep living with grace. I am Dr. Kemi. See you next week.